we are in the final stages of my Sprinter van build, and more than 140 days later, we have what looks like a tiny home on wheels. After finalizing the kitchen and making my oak table, the only major project left is laying down my floor. In the last episode, I started hooking up my switches and picked up my new roommate. In episode 78, we go over some plumbing and figure out my new spice solution.
Got delivery of this big box today, kind of like the last piece in my whole utility side of the van build. So exciting that it came in one day early actually, so it's always a good sign. These water jugs were in that box. 3 more of these 6-gallon jugs, literally just bought them right off Amazon. They are made by Igloo, BPA free, all of that good stuff for housing drinking water. So now I have a total of 4 of those jugs underneath here. My thought is I use one for the gray water or all the water that's gonna come from the sink drain, and then carry 3 freshwater tanks. So I will have a total of 18 gallons of fresh water with a 6-gallon gray water tank that I will just dump as I empty out one of the freshwater tanks to kind of keep it in track. I think at some point I want to put an actual fixed water tank in the garage, like underneath the bed area, and put a gray water tank on the outside of the van, like underneath it. But like at this point in the build, this part of the year, I'm just want to try to get some water options in for now, and then in the spring of next year I'll kind of revisit everything and see what makes sense to upgrade or what makes sense to kind of change. But I think for now that'll be a pretty good plan. So really my last little bit is just getting the right hoses to drain into the gray water, if that makes sense. I already have my freshwater one, and that's really all ready to go. So when I had originally measured to make sure these jugs fit in here, I basically just measured from the floor of the cabinet basically up to where the sink was, but I didn't take into account the actual sort of extension from the drain itself. So I'm a little concerned that this one might not work. You can see it's actually hitting the drain, so I might have to just, I don't know, I'm gonna have to stand by on this one. I might have to get a different sort of jug, or I kind of just need to run a hose, but that actually might be pretty difficult. Basically my plan is to fit 2 of these guys, the active one there, and then I have this other guy there. Then you can see I have my 3rd water tank right there. So that's where the fresh water is all gonna sit. But I really just need to figure out the gray water hookup. Now for the fresh water, I had some quick disconnects. I don't have them on me right now. But what I was finding was when I went to turn the pump on, it didn't really pull just right. And I think the quick disconnects I had are basically just cheap. And there's some sort of like, they're not super airtight, if that makes sense. So one, the pump wouldn't shut off just because it couldn't reach the pressure that it needs, and 2, it just never really pulled water super strong, again because I think there was just air getting into the system. So while it kind of sucks that I don't necessarily have the quick disconnects, I think the more fittings you have, whether that's a gas line or a water line like this, for instance, you're just kind of setting yourself up for more leaks. So basically all I did was just run the pump acclimator hoses that SureFlow kind of provided right to this guy. I just bought this from Home Depot. You can see there's water in there. This is just a braided vinyl hose that just so happens to fit just right into the caps of these Igloo, what am I trying to say, water containers. My idea is to just cut this to length where it's not necessarily hitting the bottom of the tank and kind of pulling up the sludge and sediment that usually sits at the bottom, but have just enough that it gets about 7/8 down into the tank. And then when I need to change water, all I will do is just take this hose out of one and just put it in the other one. So it's really not a big deal. And like I said, if I need more refinement in my water system, I can certainly do that when the time comes. Another thing I got from Amazon this week is my spice solution. It's not what these are actually called, that's just kind of what came into my head. But when I was planning on kind of organizing the kitchen and just starting to put stuff together, I kind of forgot about like spices, right? And like, how do you store your spices? I was trying to think of like how I could do them, and there's a bunch of different options, especially for kind of tiny home living, which is nice. But something I resorted to was just magnetic spice jars. And I don't know how well these are gonna work. They had good reviews. Apparently, like, extra high strength magnets. My plan is to put them on the front of the refrigerator. And something about these just made me so excited when I saw these. Like, I don't say this like really about anything, but like, they're just cute. They really are just cute. Basically, it's literally just like a really tiny like hexagon mason jar of some sort, and then just the top here, and it has the magnet in there, and these just kind of screw on and they magnet right to the fridge. And my favorite part is that it came with this list of labels of spices here, which is interesting because I don't know, like I didn't know any of these spices existed. Caraway, cardamom, garam masala, herbs de Provence, marjoram, the list goes on and on. So not only did I get some spice jars, but I learned probably about 10 different spices that I'll probably never use. But literally, these guys just magnet right to the fridge like that. I've expressed this several times before, but it just gets dark like within an hour of me getting home from work, so sorry about that. But you can see, this is kind of all I'm planning on doing, is just having a handful of these guys on the fridge here. This is my one concern, is that if you don't have it really like screwed on there, the danger of this coming off, I think, could be pretty high. But I'm not worried about the magnet itself coming off. It's just if the lid isn't really tight to the jar. Definitely love to hear what you guys have to think, if you think I'm just crazy and that that's not a good solution, or if you guys have a better idea. I'm just slightly worried about possibly you don't put the top on tight and there goes your spice all over the floor, which isn't the end of the world, but definitely a mess that I don't want to have to deal with in the van. Hi.
Looking good.
Thank you. I have quite the small little fan base here in my neighborhood of people who have literally watched this van conversion since back in May. So the support here has been unreal. Lastly, can't forget my toothbrush holder here, the thing that I bought because I want to kind of have a toiletry section, a spot where the toothbrushes are easily accessible and clean and not getting buried amongst other things. So this, from my understanding, again, I just try to find like the best selling, like top rated thing on Amazon for like this niche, and it's called Pop a Toothbrush, like that. And from my understanding, it just kind of sits on the wall with double-sided tape, and then you just pop your toothbrush down, and then when you need it, you just pull it and it pops it up. So it kind of keeps your toothbrush protected and clean and like in a nice safe area. So I'm thinking kind of like this side of the shelf here right above the sink will be kind of toiletries and things like that. I might have to put some sort of divider in the cabinet itself, but it's exciting times actually getting to now like the actual little living utensils of the van rather than all the lumber in the actual build, if that makes any sense. I honestly did not do a lot with the van this week. I wanted to show you guys some of the things I've got to hopefully make the van a little easier. So don't forget to like the video if you are enjoying the videos. It really helps me out. I appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. I appreciate all of you guys' support as always. It literally means the world to me, and I just couldn't really be doing this without you guys. So thank you guys so very much for watching. I'll see all of you guys in the next episode. Take it easy, fam. Peace out.